Welcome to the Hack My Solar podcast, providing off-grid solutions to an on-grid world.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Hack My Solar podcast. This is Sean Mills, and today we're going to talk about non-photovoltaic solar. We've spent a lot of time on the podcast so far talking about solar panels and solar arrays and how they work and how to store the electricity and convert it into AC for use in your house. We've spent a little bit of time talking about how to conserve energy. So today what we're going to talk about is solar thermal. It's one of the more efficient ways of using the power of the sun. One of the things we got to remember is that the sun is free, or sunlight's free. It's abundant and reliable. There's no such thing as peak sun. You've heard me say that before. The amount of sunlight striking the planet is referred to as solar irradiance or insolation. Now, there is a big difference between what hits the upper atmosphere and what makes it down to Earth. But in the United States, if you're below about 40 degrees north latitude, you have a really, really good area in terms of your annual insolation to take advantage of solar thermal solar thermal or solar photovoltaic, but solar thermal below that line, you've got a really good shot because you got the combination of a lot of sun and not a whole lot of cold to deal with. So if you look at the average U.S. energy consumption at the household level, you find that 40% of that consumption is utilized for space heating, furnace fans, and water heating. People ask us all the time, oh man, how do you live off grid? Well, honestly, the vast majority of the electricity that we use is for entertainment purposes. We use the sun, and to a lesser extent, not gas, but propane for heating water, heating, our surroundings. We do that primarily with wood, which is just another type of stored solar energy. And so, with that and the little bit of electricity that we use to move water, we can live a life that's at least similar to most people that live on the grid in terms of access to, things. We just access those things at different times. But like I said, 40% of that residential energy consumption is with those three things. Lighting is another big one, which it's not directly solar thermal, but solar light can help out with those type of things through skylights. So let's talk about heated air. How do you heat air? Well, one of the things that you want is something that's black. You want something to absorb the radiant energy. But you don't want something that's very reflective. And the reason for that is because you don't want to reflect away a lot of the heat once, if you reflect it before it gets absorbed, and reflection typically happens faster than absorption, then you're not doing a great job there. So there's several different types of heated air solar thermal collectors. One of them is called a can collector. And what happens with a can collector is you've got a vent in the bottom, and then you've got a bunch of soda cans that the tops and bottoms have been cut out and they've been glued together. And so the air actually goes through those cans, which are painted black, in the collection area, and then in front of the collection area you have glazing, and that might be polycarbonate, it might be glass, in some cases it might just be a clear sheet of plastic. But the clear sheet, whatever that glazing is, allows the sunlight through, but it doesn't allow the heat to immediately escape. And so what happens is those cans heat up, and as they heat up the air that's traveling through them, and then through the thermal siphon effect, or possibly through some sort of mechanical air movement, the hot air comes out of the top of the unit, in some cases way hotter than when it went in. A downspout collector is basically the same idea. It just uses aluminum downspouts instead of cans. A backpass collector is another type, and that's what most of your commercial solar thermal air collectors are made for.